Welcome Year 2 to your final maths lesson of the week. It's the 5th of February 2021 and we are continuing with our topic on time. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reading the time on an analogue clock to the nearest 5 minutes. Okay, what I would like you to do to begin with is I would like you to get your maths brains warmed up. I've got a few questions on the screen for you now. I'd like you to pause the video and have a little go at answering all of those questions. When you come back, I will reveal the answers and you will be able to check your work. So pause the video now and off you go. Okay, children, welcome back. Let's reveal the answers. So the first one, easy peasy, was 6. Next one, 9, 45. 50, 67, 79 and 57. If you did manage to get all of those correct, a huge well done to you. And of course, if you did find that a bit tricky or you found any of them difficult and you didn't quite get the right answer, that's okay because you can just fix it now and have a look where you may have gone wrong. Mistakes definitely matter in maths because they help us to learn because we can look back at our mistakes and fix it. Okay, children, here are today's star words. My turn, your turn. Hour, minute, hour hand, minute hand, past, to, scale. Well done, everybody. Remember, you should be using these words throughout today's maths lesson. Now, one of the most important ones that we're going to use today is the word scale. So let's think back to what the word scale actually means. So earlier on in the week, we were looking at the scale of a clock. Remember, the scale of the clock goes from 1 all the way round to 12, doesn't it, for the hours, okay? And it also goes around with another scale too. You can also count in your minutes, can't you? And remember, we skip count in 5s when we're looking at our minutes around the clock, okay? So hopefully you've been able to remember that piece of information from earlier on this week, as this is going to really support our understanding in today's lesson. Okay, let's get to our new learning. This is what I was on about. Here is our scale of minutes going around the clock. Count with me. Can you see the first one? It's 5. Let's carry on that counting pattern of skip counting in 5s to show the minutes around the clock. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and finally 60. Okay, the hours and the minutes on our clock look like our 5 times table, don't they? So as we go around, we can notice that all of those numbers are in our 5 times table. They're all multiples of 5 and we skip count in 5s as we count our minutes around the clock. So when the minute hand is pointing at 3, how many minutes have actually passed? We're looking at this number here. How many minutes have passed? Well done if you said 15. Let's look at another one. This time, when the minute hand is pointing at the 1, how many minutes have passed? Remember which number we're looking at this time? Well done if you spotted that it was 5. Let's try another one. When the minute hand is pointing at 2, how many minutes have passed? You're guessing this now. You may have spotted that it's 10. Well done. When the minute hand is pointing at the 4, how many minutes have passed? Well done if you said 20, because we can see that our scale is pointing for the minutes at 20 there. Let's look at another one. When the minute hand is pointing at 5, how many minutes have passed? Well done if you've spotted that it is 25. Super work, everyone. Here's another one for you. When the minute hand is pointing at 6, how many minutes have passed? Well done, it's 30. Super job. What time does this show then? I wonder. What do you notice? What time does this show? Ooh, if you said 35 past, then that's not quite right. I can see why you would have said that, but it's not quite right, okay? And this is where time starts to get a little bit confusing, because when we're working on this side of the clock, we talk about that idea of past, don't we? And I showed you a little image of that yesterday. And when we're working on this side of the clock, we think about it as 2, don't we? And that changes how we say our numbers. So we don't say it's 35 past something. We say it's something else. And I'm going to explore that on the next slide. So because we split our clocks in half, like I've just explained, we split it into a past side and a to side. So when we're talking about the past side, we're talking about how many minutes past the hour it's been, okay? But once it gets to 1/2 at the very bottom of our clock, we start to think about the next hour that it's going towards, okay? So that's when we start to say that it's something 2, okay? So if we look at the example from earlier, where some of us said 35 past, we no longer say past, we say it's something 2. And we don't look at how many minutes have passed, we look at how many minutes there are to the next hour, okay? And I know that's a little bit confusing, but we will keep practicing, okay? So we look at how many minutes are to the next hour, and we know it's the next hour because it'll click over to that 12 at the top of the clock, and it'll become another o'clock, won't it? It'll flip over to the next hour, okay? So we need to count how many hours it is until the next hour, remembering that we have our scale of 5s going all the way around, okay? Now children, for this part, I just want you to watch what happens, okay? So watch my clock and I want you to see if you can notice anything that changes. Okay, pause the video now and have a little think, or a discussion if you're in school or working with somebody, or if you're independently working, you can have a think. What's changed? What do you notice about what's just happened to my clock? Okay, have a little think about what you notice now. So, what you may have noticed, everybody, is that the numbers 35, 40, 45, 50 and 55 all disappeared from my clock, and that's because of this idea of past and to. We're no longer counting the hours past, we're now looking at how long it is to the next hour, and we do this by counting down the amount of time that's left now, okay? So we're not counting up and going past, we are now going to the hour, okay? So it now becomes, instead of saying 35, 40 and so on, we now say 25 to, 22, quarter to, 10 to and 5 to, okay? So it kind of is the reverse on the other side of the clock, because if we look at this clock here, we can notice that on the past side, it's got 5 past, and on the to side, it's got 5 to. On the past side, it's got 10 past, and on the to side, it's got 10 to. It's like a mirror image of each other, isn't it? Okay, but one's saying past and one is saying to. So, thinking about what we've just learned, I'd like you to have a go now at identifying the times that are going to be shown on these clocks, okay? Now this is just practice, and we will be practicing much more until we get the hang of this, because it is very tricky stuff, okay? So let's have a look. What time does this show? Now remember earlier Miss Thompson explained that it's not 35 past because we are no longer on the past side of the clock, okay? We are now on the to side of the clock. And if we remember, these minute numbers, we decided to change them, didn't we? So it's no longer 35, 40, 45, 50 and 55. It's now 25 to, 22, 15 minutes to, 10 to, 5 to, because we're thinking about how many minutes are left until the next hour, okay? So what I want you to do now is think about the numbers that we are looking at this time, so which minute it is pointing to. So in this case, it's pointing to 25 to, isn't it? It's not 25 past because it's not on the past side, it's on the to side now. So this one would be 25 to, okay? Let's have a look if you can have a go at the next one. Okay, this time it's pointing towards 8 and 20, isn't it? So what do we think we're going to say about this time? Okay, have a little go. Maybe you want to say it out loud now. Well done if you said that this clock is showing 22, okay? Because here we've got 20 minutes left until or to the next hour. Because if we were to count all of these minutes that are left on the scale, we would have 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes left until the next hour, okay? Let's have a look at another one. Oh, what's it showing now? It's pointing towards this number here, and we know that it's the to side of the clock. What do we think it's showing? Say it out loud now. Well done if you managed to find out that it was 10 to. There are 10 minutes left till the next hour. If we look here on our scale, we've got 10 minutes until it gets back up to the top of the clock and it's o'clock and moves on to the next hour. Well done. Let's see if you can have one more try. Here we go. What time does this clock show? Okay, so it's pointing towards this number here, and we know that it's on the to side of the clock. So what is it showing? Say it out loud now. Well done if you said that it's showing 5 to, because there are 5 minutes left until or to the next hour. Well done everybody, this is really tricky stuff, so I'm really proud of you for keeping on listening and keeping on going. Okay, what time does this show? Ooh, this is the one that we learned yesterday, and remember we don't always have to say that it's this. If we know that if it was pointing at the 3, it would be quarter past, what do we think it is if it's pointing in the other direction to the 9? Well done if you said quarter to. because it's a quarter, isn't it? It's a quarter of the way until the next hour, because if we split our clock into our quarters again, okay, we would see that there's only quarter of an hour left, or 15 minutes left, until the next hour. Okay, so this is always quarter to, and the other side is always quarter past. Okay, what time does this one show? Oh, let's see if you remember. Remember, if it's pointing at the 12, it's always got to be something on an analog clock. What is it? Well done if you managed to spot that it was o'clock. Well remembered. Okay, now what I would like you to do is I would like you to have a little go at matching each of the clocks to their written form, okay? So you may want to pause the video here and have a little go at doing that, and then come back and I will reveal the answers. Okay, so the first one says 10 past 4. We know that the minute hand is pointing to 2, which on our scale means that it is 10 minutes. And we know that it's in the past side of the clock, so we can say that this one matches this one. Okay, here we've got 5 past 5, so I know that I'm looking for a clock that's on the past side, and of course I'm looking for 5 minutes past on my scale, and I know that that means it should be pointing at the number 1. Okay, here we've got 25 past 1. Well, I know that 25 on my minute scale means that the minute hand should be pointing at the 5, and because it says 1 there for the hour, I know that my hour hand should be pointing at the 1, so it goes with that one. And then finally we match these two up because they are the only ones left, but also if we were to read it, we know that 20 past on our minute scale is definitely pointing to the number 4, because we know that that's 20 minutes past on our scale, and we can see that the 2 means that the hour hand should be pointing at the number 2. Okay children, let's develop your learning a little bit further. Now this is really going to support you in today's main activity, so I need you listening carefully. Okay, so let's have a look what time this clock shows. Now Ben and Alice have both said something about this clock. Ben says that this shows quarter past 5, and Alex says that the clock shows 5 past 5. Who is right, Ben or Alice, and why? You may want to pause the video now and have a little discussion with who is correct and why. Well done if you said that Alice is correct, because the minute hand is pointing at the 5, and we know that this is 5 past on our scale, and we can clearly see that the hour hand is pointing at the number 5. So we read this as 5 past 5, because the minute hand is pointing towards the 1, which means it's 5 on our scale, and the hour hand is pointing to the hour of 5. Let's read another one. Ben says that this clock shows 5 to 10. Alice says that this clock shows 5 past 10. Who is correct? Pause the video and have a little discussion with who is correct and why. Well done if you said that Ben is correct, because quite clearly we are now on the 2 side of the clock, and remember that using our scale going around the clock, we know that we've got 25 to, 22, 15 minutes to, 10 minutes to, 5 minutes to the next hour. So we can quite clearly see that the minute hand is on the 2 side of the clock, and we can see from our scale that there are 5 minutes to the next hour, okay? And the next hour is clearly 10 in this picture, because the hour hand is nearing ever so slightly towards that 10. Okay children, one more together, okay? Let's have a look. So Benj says that this clock shows 5:45, and Alice says this clock shows 20 to 6. Who is correct? Pause the video and have a little discussion. Amazing. Well done if you said that Alice is correct, because if Ben was right, then the minute hand would be pointing here, wouldn't it, towards the 9, because we know that that shows 1:45 something on our clock. So Alice is correct, and we can prove that because if we look at our scale where we've got 25 to 22, we can see that there are 20 minutes until that hour hand is all the way on the number 6, okay? So we can see that this clock shows 20 to 6, okay? Okay, children, it's over to you. Just like we've been doing on the previous couple of slides in your developed learning, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be reading the times on each of the clocks. Then you're going to be reading each of the children's statements. So remember, just pretend it's Ben and Alice again. And you're going to decide who is correct, which of the children is correct, the girl or the boy in this example at the top that I've just shown you. You're going to decide who's correct and tell me why by explaining and using all of that lovely vocabulary that you've been learning over the past few weeks. Okay, children, well, over the past week rather, not past few weeks. Okay, and remember, children, we're only at the end of Teams. If you need any support with this whatsoever, please get in touch and I will be happy to help you to work through your answers. Okay, children, I hope you get on okay with today's activity. It is a bit of a tricky one, so please try your best, and I look forward to receiving your work a little bit later on. Bye-bye for now, everyone.